Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my channel. It is a great day, a great weekend. I've had a pretty rough week. My son was in the hospital most of the week and we travel to a research hospital. So I was thrilled to come home and find one of my bead boxes from the Czech Republic. This is the Czech Beads exclusive box and it is amazing this month. And I just, again, cannot say how happy I am to have come home and DHL delivered these from the Czech Republic. This company is called Kraftika and it actually offers 2 separate subscription boxes each month, and I get both of them. This one is the most beautiful Czech glass sampler that is curated, and it comes with a little insert. They name it every month. This one is called Czech Beads in the Colors of Nature, and it has 26 items. So it is like the most beautiful sampler, but it is curated. Look at these beautiful colors. I'm really loving this because, you know, we're going into fall and it's not your typical fall colors of oranges and browns and sagey greens. It's like brighter greens and coral reds and lighter blues, and I am just loving it. So I've put the 26 items in order, and I'm going to go pretty quickly through my unboxing because I like to make something in my videos. I love getting beads, but you know, if you don't make anything with them, then you know they just end up in a drawer. So let's jump right in. Also, I have to say before I start, some of my very favorite, all-time favorite Czech glass bead shapes are in this box as well. And this is maybe my all-time favorite bead, and it comes in 3 colors in this box. Don't ask me why this is my favorite, but it's a flower. It's a brick bead. It's elongated. There's something about the shape and the embossing that I just absolutely love. So we got this in this white opal with a red patina. We got this in a white opal with a blue patina. And we got this in a Picasso, light green patina, and this is called a rectangle flower. Maybe that's why I love it, because I love playing with geometry in my jewelry designs, but I also love flowers, which, you know, are not generally geometric. So for me, I guess that I love this because it's combining the 2 things. A geometric shape that gives so many design possibilities, but you have the flower embossing on both sides. I've done like entire sets of jewelry just with this bead because I love it so much. So we got 3 colors of that, and then we got 3 colors of this beautiful cube seed bead in 4mm. So we got this, let me find the hole. This is so amazing. It is like the size of a seed bead, but it's a little cube. So we got a green cube, a citrine yellow lemon luster cube, and we got a coral red luster cube, and I just love these. These are going to make their way into my first project. I mean, they are just amazing. If you've been on my channel before, you know that I believe in the power of seed beads, and I tend to pull them out for most of my projects. They're amazing spacers. They're inexpensive. They can extend the length of any strand of beads that you're working with if you need like a full necklace or a full bracelet and you don't have enough. But also seed beads, you know, you can use a lot of them. Your project is still lightweight. You can add in colors with your seed beads. You can also change sort of the shape of your design by the way that you stack seed beads. So I love them, and getting these cubes is just the pièce de résistance. My French is bad, but anyway, really excited to have those. And then this is the coolest little druck bead. This is a red and green motley round druck, and this is a 6mm. And look at this. Isn't that beautiful? It is just like a splatter painting or something. I don't know. It's really beautiful. I love that. And I just love this little pop of coral red. You know, that's kind of why I put everything out on my mat so you can kind of see where the box is going. And then we also got this red, this light green druck. This is a pressed round bead, and it's a smooth round, and it's a 6mm as well, which for me, the 6mm is really the sweet spot in beads. I find that if I'm doing something larger, a 6mm bead is amazing as a spacer bead. But if I'm doing something that I want to be smaller scale, 6mm bead works for that as well. And I guess it's kind of my style of jewelry. You know, that scale I meant to say. And then I just love this bead. This is so cool. This is a Czech glass fluted melon bead, and it's a matte yellow with a green patina, and this is an 8mm bead. But look at the dimension in this little melon bead. This is so cool. Last year I did a video on how to turn just regular melon beads into tutti frutti jewelry, and with, you know, wire, and it's very easy, really fun, like a free form art. And with this as your base, that would be wonderful. But I do love that bead. I love the way it has the wash that kind of highlights the fluting in the bead. It's just gorgeous. And then this is my second favorite in this box. I absolutely love the pressed glass Czech glass bicone beads, and these are elongated ones, and we got this in two colors. We got a light green long bicone, and we got a light blue long bicone, and these are both 8x6mm, which again, that sweet spot as far as the size. And I just love that the bicone parts, the angles on this bead are so smooth. You get the dimensionality, but it's smooth. So in stringing, you know, you don't have any rough edges like sometimes a bicone crystal bead can feel a little bit rough, but these are just bead perfection. I love getting those two colors, and I mean, those two colors together, just even for like a simple bracelet, would be gorgeous. Then look at this, you guys. We got an opal light blue long teardrop icicle bead. This is a 9x20mm. This is absolutely gorgeous. You can do the most amazing focal beads on pretty much any kind of a necklace, but I love to do drops like the bracelet I'm wearing today. I love to do kind of a dramatic dangle on a bracelet because then I get to see the beads. So I really love that. And then these are gorgeous. I love, you can never have enough Czech glass flowers in my opinion. So these are white AB half bell flower caps, and they're a 7x5mm. So if you're new to beads, AB means Aurora Borealis, and it gives the little shimmer kind of reminiscent of the Northern Lights. And so like on this, it's very subtle because it's a white, very opaque white bead, but as I turn it, I can see that about half of it has that finish on top of the glass. I don't know if the camera is rendering it, but in person it is so beautiful. I don't know if you can see like the shimmery edges of that white. It's so beautiful. And then I have this leaf bead in my stash in so many colors. You wrap this like a briolette, or you can put a jump ring through it, but I do not have this stunning color, and I just absolutely love this. This is again that AB Aurora Borealis white bay leaf 6x12mm. I really don't know. In editing, I look at the film and see if the camera is rendering what I'm seeing with my eye. But this little leaf is just absolutely stunning. And again, I think this is so unique because we are in that time of year when we start to see the leaves turning colors. And white is just so unique to have a white leaf in a project. I think it's just absolutely amazing. And then I actually have these little beads in gold, but now I am adding them in silver. This is so beautiful. These are metallic silver small bellflower beads. And you know, it's glass, but doesn't it look like metal? But it is glass because of the metallic finish on the bead, and I just love that. And then here's that same finish again in a Czech glass faceted round. This is a fire polish bead, in 5mm. And again, I love that's just beautiful, and I love the finish, and I love a 5mm bead because, you know, we're used to seeing like 4 or 6 or then jumping up to 8. So again, I just love this little size. And then this is the same bead in a 3.5mm, so not a 3, not a 2, not a 4, but a 3.5. So again, how cool is that? I just love that little bead. I mean, you can actually use these Czech glass faceted beads as a seed bead, and you know, they just make fabulous spacers. And for the project that I have in mind, because I can never help myself, I'm always designing as I'm unboxing a thing. Beads just inspire me. They ignite my creativity. And for the project that I have in mind, I'm going to be constructing some components, and these beads I think are going to really come in handy. And then we got this beautiful Czech glass flower in 2 colors. This is a petunia large bellflower, and we got it in this cream white with the beige luster, and we also got it in this Picasso beige red patina. And like, these are just so amazing. If you string these back to back, you can create almost like a funky bead shape just by stringing these as if they were one. But these also make fabulous dangles and charms. They look great with a ball head pin or even another bead. Let me go on this side so you can see even another like small bead kind of strung right in the middle. I have done so much with this type of bead. Let me find that little hole. I have done cha-cha rings with this, but look how cool you can like put so much dimension in a project by stringing something right in the middle. These are just so fun. And as I said, in my universe, you can never have too many Czech glass flower beads or leaf beads. I love leaf beads, and that's what's up next. And you know, by the way, if you haven't seen the way that I organize my beads, I've done a video on that, but I do have an entire organizing bin just for flowers. I have another just for leaves, because in design, they are just elements that you reach for all the time. So I gathered mine up, and when I'm designing, they are, you know, really easy for me to find. So we got this beautiful leaf in 2 colors. Let me read out the colors. We got a Picasso green ivory luster mint leaf, and then we got the same one in this gorgeous Picasso beige ivory luster. These are mint leaves, and you know, I just think Czech glass is amazing, because if you've ever grown herbs, you know that this is exactly what the leaves on a little mint herb plant look like. You know, and then they do these amazing colors and layer the finishes. So it's just beautiful. And look how gorgeous they are, even strung back to back. You can do so much with the leaf beads that have the drill hole going down the middle. There are so many creative ways to use these in a project. And like, if you go on my bracelet playlist, I love to make like a living bead, like a cha-cha really movable section in a bracelet, so the whole bracelet isn't so heavy, but these add so much dimension and texture. I think this might be my favorite leaf. I really love this leaf. And then look how cool these are. As I said, last autumn I did a whole video on Czech glass fruit and using fruit in design. So we got these beautiful lemons and limes. One is a matte crystal yellow and green patina. So that would be this one. And like, again, the dimension, you can see all the little dimples on the lemon skin. Like, there's just so much. Try to get my hand out of the way and see if the light will go through, because in person, like, it's matte and you can kind of see through it, but then you have that beautiful wash on top. And then this color is equally as gorgeous. It's a really opaque green. This is a gold green lime, and so you can see that they've washed the green with gold, so it highlights all of the dimension and the details in that little bead. Aren't they so cute? I get in the mood sometimes for like a little fruit design, you know, even like a little bracelet. It's just so, it's so beautiful. And in the fall, you know, you kind of think of like a cornucopia of fruits and vegetables because it's a whole new season. And so how fun. That's just amazing. And then we received this also in 2 colors. There is a light blue pearl patina wash oval bead and a light green. And again, I love getting the same bead in different colors because for me, the design possibilities are just amazing. And this is a beautiful, like a cameo shape with a starburst in the middle. And what a beautiful finish. It's like pearlescent. It's so beautiful. So we got that in 2 colors. And then we also got this table cut bead. It's a Picasso brown and crystal green oval bead. There is so much dimension in this little bead. And so like a table cut bead is really flat on at least one side, but this one is flat on both sides. And then it's got the wash so you can see the little detail in the glass. This is just a beautiful little bead. It almost looks like a little piece of rice, like wild rice or something. So how fitting with this cornucopia of bead colors. So I am just thrilled with this month's collection. I mean, look at this all together. It's absolutely wonderful. I do have a plan. I'm going to start working on it. So I'm going to clean up my mat and I'll come back and show you what my idea was for this box. And let me just pause here. If you are interested in receiving this Czech Beads exclusive box, I do have a discount code and I'll put the link in the description box of this video. Check it out. They also have a huge website. It's not only for jewelry makers, but crafters of all types, but you can also shop beads. If you don't want another subscription box, you can also shop beads individually. So just be a second for you. I'm going to clean up and I'll be right back. I have been working away making components out of all the beads. I decided to sort of keep the color mix that's going in the box because I just think it's stunning as a group instead of separating everything out. So I have pulled in some 6.0 frosted yellow seed beads because there was only this one yellow in the box and I really like that pop of yellow. So I decided to do that. I also have some 11.0 seed beads over here because, as I said earlier, seed beads really come in handy. And I'll explain what I'm using them for, but I did components out of these flower beads. And for this bracelet design, it's going to be almost in the feeling of a cuff bracelet with a nice this width. But I needed all of my other components to be exactly the same or as close to the same as I could get to this width. So some of the beads I wanted to use, like without that little 11.0 seed bead in there, I didn't have the proper length, but when I added that in, it just gave me the length that I need. So I'm working my way up. I'm playing with mixing. This is very random, but just alternating all of those colors. And I started out with some 49 strand bead stringing wire, and I did a magical crimp with a number 2 crimp tube on either end, and it looks like that. And so that's how I started out, and I'll show you how I use the magical crimping plier on the other end and show you exactly what I did. If you do not have the magical crimping plier or you do not care for it, you can totally do a normal fold over crimp method here. I don't normally do flat crimps, but you can even do that. I don't normally do it. I feel like it's maybe not as secure, but this is more of those components that I've made, and you can see I'm just alternating those colors. And here again is where the seed beads really come in handy. I opted to do 2 of those 6.0 seed beads in between each of my components, and I am just stringing them on almost as if it's a 2-hole bead because I kind of created a hole on each end, and it's giving me a nice width for like the look of a cuff bracelet. That's a trend for 2024. To me, it's a classic. I have cuff bracelets from when I was a teenager that I still pull out and wear. So this is going to be a really colorful one. And I'll also say at this point that I've chosen this as bead stringing material, but I have done similar designs to this on memory wire, on 2 rounds of memory wire. I also love my Brazilian waxed cord, and you can do a fairly chunky, the size of the Brazilian waxed cord, because of the loops here. So I'll show you exactly what I'm doing with my components and my stringing, and then I'm going to finish off camera because it's so repetitive. And really there's no sort of rhyme or reason. I mean, there is and there isn't, because I'm doing this random, but just kind of evenly mixing the colors. So if you notice here, I did like the blue elongated bicones, then green, then a red, then the light green, then yellow, then red and green, then blue. So I'm just like making sure that I don't have a bunch of red beads clustered together or a bunch of blue, but there's not really a pattern. I'm using 20 gauge gold wire, and I am using my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper. And here again, if you don't have this tool or you are not successful with it, you can totally do simple loops with your pliers. They're not bad to do that way either. But I make a lot of jewelry, and there's a lot of components to this bracelet, and I find that when I use this tool, it saves me from an arthritis flare-up. Like, I don't have that like constant twisting motion. So when you don't have any beads on your wire, you just put the wire in the tool, and I gently close it so that I just have a grip on the wire, and my wire is just past that back jaw inside the tool. With no beads on it, I don't need to go through the guide hole because it wastes like a 1/2 inch of wire. And then I'm just going to slowly close it, and the tool makes a nice blunt cut. So I can skip that step with my cutters. And then I can see that this tool is making my loop right around the mandrel. And then I pull that wire down, and here I have the opportunity to warm it, straighten it, whatever I need to do, but I also just centered that loop on the wire. So when I open the tool, I have a near perfect loop. And the other thing I love about this is that for a piece where you're repeating loops on every single component, they're all the same. The consistency is just great. And when I have a lot to do, if you notice, I didn't put my tool down. I just swung it out of the way. And then I can, if I needed to close the loop, which sometimes happens, but I also like to work harden my loops a little bit. But I still have my tool in my hand, and then I can go ahead and string my next component. I just kind of played with the beads and laid them out as I, was alternating all of these beautiful colors of summer. And I just played with the patterns so that all of my patterns, although different, are all the same length. And then, the first few I had to really work that out, but now I'm repeating a lot of those patterns, so then it's a no-brainer, because I already know that if I'm using this 5 millimeter Czech glass round that's faceted, that I need a seed bead in between. And I already know that if I need these elongated bicones, that I need to put one of those 3 millimeter little beads in the middle to get the length. And I knew it was 5 of these cube beads after I did my first little group of components here. So the first few I did have to work out the length, but now I'm just relaxing and making components. So I'm also going to do my loops going in the same direction, so that when I feed them on my wire, on my track here, that the opening is downward, or at least all going in the same direction. So now this time I am going to use the guide hole in the tool. So I'm going to feed the wire all the way through the guide hole in the back and bring my beads right up to the front jaw of the plier. And here again, I just gently close the tool. I see people like popping it, like chomping down, and I don't know why you would do that. You can't see what you're doing. If you're stressing any of your beads or making any mistake, it's a done deal at that point. So I just make sure that I am not putting pressure on my bead right here. I let it make that blunt cut. I'm in control here. I don't have to close it all the way. And then I can watch it make that make that loop for me, and then I pull this down so my beads are out of the jaw of the plier here, but I've also just centered the loop on this end. And then while it's still in the tool, if it's necessary, and it looks like on this one I needed a tiny little adjustment, you can take a pair of pliers and line up your loops. And when I take it away, I got the exact same size as my other loops, and then if it needed to be closed, this happens if you put the wire inside the one-step looper at a strange angle, and sometimes you do. It's just the way the tool is. And like I say, I love this. It saves my hand when I have a bunch of components to make, but this project is 100% doable with making simple loops with your pliers, you know. So I am going to keep going. I'm going to just repeat that step with all of these patterns, and I'll meet you back because I have been a little bit creative with the clasp, and we'll see if it's going to work. I did not have a clasp with only 2 connectors, and I had a 3, but if you see, this one does appear to be 2. It started its life as this, and I have removed one of those loops and filed it. And I will show you how I did that. And so when I come to put my clasp on, you know, I won't have an empty loop there. So I'm going to finish all these components. It'll just be a second for you, and I'll be back when this is all strung, and I will show you how I plan to finish it. I am so excited about this design. So all of my components and all of my stringing are done. I'm going to just pull it up to the camera. I did unstring all of my components and beads to kind of rearrange a little bit, and the end here had a little bit too many beads on it for my length. So I decided to finish with just one of the yellow seed beads past my last component and one of those elongated bicones. And so the trick to this is going to be, these have to be crimped individually, so I'm going to kind of ignore this side and I'm going to focus on this side. And also I want to make sure before I crimp that all of these little these elongated flower beads are all laying flat. And if you'll notice, that changes the negative space. Like this little section, they're touching each other. This little section, there's a little bit more negative space, and I quite like that. So I left it that way. But you could definitely do this any way that you wanted. If you like more negative space in between these bridged components, you could do more seed beads as you're stringing it, and if you wanted it tighter, you could remove one so that they're all touching. But I like this little random, I like the varying negative space. For my eye, it highlights all the different beads and showcases this color palette, you know, as one color story, and I really like that. So I'm going to feed on my number 2 crimp tube and make a loop and go back through that tube, and I already know from this side down here that I can't get my cut end of my wire to go back down through. It just doesn't fit. I like to do that when it's possible, but you know, sometimes it's just not possible, and you know, that's what's going on with this design. So I'm going to just get my crimp tube down where I need it to be and then get this loop to be really small. I'm just trying to match the other end. So that looks pretty good. And then before I crimp, and I'm going to just ignore this side, but I do want to make sure that these little flower beads, these brick shaped beads, are laying flat. I don't want a rigid bracelet, even though in this particular one, this might be the one time when a little rigidity would be okay just because of the width and its cuff-like nature. But I like my jewelry to flow around my arm, so I kind of go for that. But and I'm just gonna like take a minute to check and make sure that I don't have any weird gaps, and I'm really happy with that. So now I'm gonna bring my magical crimping plier in, and I am going to fit that tube Let me zoom in for you guys since I don't want to pick this up off my mat. There. I'm going to fit that tube in the divot in the plier, and before I close the plier, I want to feel that it's right in the center, and I did just feel it slip. Let me see. Let me just, can also give your loop its last little adjustment, which is what I'm going to do here before you close. Now I feel that it's right in the center, and I'm just going to double check, because once I commit to this crimp, it's a done deal. And I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm just going to close the tool, and now I have pinched all 4 corners of that crimp bead, and I'm going to turn it in the opposite direction, and just before I close, because if you don't feel it fitting right in the middle of that divot, you will mangle the crimp tube. So I'm just taking a moment to get it right in the center. Let's see. You can kind of feel when it goes in. Looks like that's going to be good. Now you close it in that direction. And I do have this clamped off, so now I can pick it up. But now I'm just going to turn my work or my pliers, whatever's easiest, just opening and closing the plier on that tube a few times until the tube is molded into a beautiful little bead. Look at that. I love this tool. But as I said at the outset, if you don't have the magical crimping plier, or it's something you struggle with making it work for you, you can totally do a fold over crimp method here. So now I'm just going to get my cutters in there and cut as closely as I can. I always save these little scraps because they're so great for earrings. Let me zoom us out. Okay, and I'm going to repeat that exact same thing right here on this side. I'm going to do the same thing. Just lay it flat. I'll get my loop in here first and then lay it flat and make sure that it's a parallel line with the other side, and everything is my spacing is good. I have to say I would probably consider this an intermediate project because the mechanics of this one are just a little bit different, and there is a little bit more to pay attention to in your crimping. I recently had one of our community members say, she has a little bit of experience at making jewelry, and she would love me to start creating an intermediate playlist. And I think it's a fabulous idea. Not everyone is brand new. And so I've been thinking about that, and I'm, because I usually try to call out what level I think a project is so that people are working at something they can actually accomplish. Okay, let me just repeat. Oh my goodness, look how gorgeous this bracelet is. Oh, I just love it. It is so colorful and so happy and just so beautiful. So I did already attach this side of my clasp bar with the one link removed, and I did that with really tiny little 4mm jump rings that I made with my bail making pliers. So I used like this tiniest little mandrel on this bail making plier to get those tiny little jump rings, because I just wanted a seamless, unobtrusive transition. So I have 2 more of those here, but before I do that, I'm going to show you guys how I made this a two loop clasp. So I'm using my older cutters, my junkier cutters. I like to keep my nice sharp ones. I recently got these. It's a 2-pack, and they were an unbelievable value for as good as they are. You can see how well they close, and I have really enjoyed having fresh cutters. I can leave the link to this in the description box if you're like me. I was long overdue for cutters. So all I'm going to do is just get in here and break this off. Break this loop off, but I don't want to see that I've removed it, so I'll get what I can with my cutters. I'll like chip away at it. And then I have this really amazing little tool set. It came with this file and a whole bunch of other reamers and little files and things. It is unbelievable how handy this little set of tools comes in. If a lot of times glass beads, Czech glass and things, they have a blocked hole and they just work great for that. But even this little file, if you're modifying something, so I'm just going to get in here and just make sure that where I've removed that loop doesn't show. There, that looks great. And I am going to coat this clasp with my Permalac anti-tarnish coating when I'm all finished, so I'll give that a little coat too. So it is really not noticeable that I turned a 3-loop closure into a 2-loop closure. I am a little bit stubborn when I'm making my jewelry, and when I want a thing to look a certain way, I will find a way to make it happen. So I'm just going to open this jump ring and put it through my crimped loop and then through my closure loop. Am I going the right way? Yes. I wanted them because these are one-sided, so I just wanted to make sure that when I bring it around that I have the decorative side up on both sides. And just close that tiny little jump ring really well. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. That is so pretty. So I don't know if I will even need this extender chain. I suspect that I won't, but I may leave it. I tend to do that. I tend to wear things for a little bit and then decide, you know, if I want to make an adjustment or not. But I got my length really, really good. I like this so much. And so I also left out a few things here to make some dangles. I might do this little flower with a red bead. I was thinking if I did want the extender chain that I might just add it at the end. I'm a person that I don't like an extender chain to have an empty link on the end. I always feel like that last link, if I'm using it, that I need a decoration. So I chose that smaller one. And then I was thinking to make a little dangle for right here out of this drop and these gorgeous leaves. So I'm going to grab a head pin. I have this beautiful, unusual little head pin that has like a splayed end instead of a ball or a flat head, and you can totally take a piece of wire and do this with a hammer and a bench block, but I happen to have this in my stash and I just think it is so pretty. Look how cool that looks. You know, it just, I don't know, it's just a little bit different, but I do think I want to like come up with some kind of a little pattern here. So let's see. I got this wonderful little assortment of cone end caps, and I am telling you, I can get lost in this box. It has, you know, those larger ones, these ones that are like shaped like a bell and they have some filigree, and then it has these ones that kind of remind me of a Tibetan metal one that I had in my stash that I used up. There's some like flower shapes, and there are just so many beautiful elements, and this was available in a couple of different metal finishes as well. I can link this below, but I was just going to play and see if I wanted to add a little something to the top of this teardrop bead. Oh, look how cute that is. Oh, that's really pretty too. I love that. I think I am settled on that. And I'm just going to come right back with my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper and fit that head pin right in there under the mandrel, and just make sure my bead stack is where I want it. I close it gently just so I have control and I can see that I'm not breaking or stressing any of my beads, and then close it and pull that down And I got a perfect simple loop that matches all of my other loops that I have made. And then I did put it in. Whenever you put your wire in, if it goes in a little bit crooked, you do have to tidy up that loop. But for me, that's a small price to pay for not putting stress on my hand. So I have this beautiful little drop, and I can just get a jump ring and attach that. Look at that. I was able to put a jump ring right through that leaf, and I think I am going to add it onto my bracelet just as an extra little embellishment, because those leaves are so beautiful. And then I'm going to use one of these smaller ones for my drop, and I'll show you, for those of you that have not seen me do this before, I have a little different way of attaching my dangles to a piece, and I'll show you. Instead of the normal attachment where you would put your jump ring through another ring or through the loop on your clasp, I put my ring around the whole circumference of the piece. And then that way, no matter which direction I put the bracelet on and no matter which way I move my arm, my charms, especially if they are two-sided like this, they look good from every vantage point, and it goes around 360 degrees. It doesn't get stuck or sort of kinked in, kind of a backwards position. So I'm going to do both of these on separate jump rings and do that method. Okay, this is done. This is such a beautiful bracelet. As I said, I am pretty sure these clasps came with this extender chain, and I really don't need it, but this is absolutely gorgeous. What a happy, beautiful bracelet. These colors, these beads, all the different shapes. We have cubes, we have these elongated flower beads, we have these elongated bicones, we have faceted Czech rounds. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. And the little 6/0 seed beads almost have a little rondelle shape. I mean, I just absolutely love this bracelet. So as always, I will put some pictures up at the end of the video, and I thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to check the description box of my of this video for the links to the Czech Beads exclusive box and the Kraftika website as well. And I put links to my tools. I will put links to even anything that I know where I got it that I haven't had in my stash for a long time. The beautiful gold bead caps. If I can find my closures, I will link those. And if you did not see this bracelet video that I'm wearing today, I'll put a link for that in the description box, as well as my ring. I made that too. And so if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it. And also tap the bell notification, because I will come back with the other box called Bohem Style that is offered by the Kraftika company, and I will share that design with you. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope everybody's safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. Ciao, jewelry making friends.